A first official look at the fifth old god, Xal'atath's real endgame. Now, there's been the fifth old god theories. We've thrown it around before. The mural on the wall. Was Xal'atath killed by the other old gods and imprisoned at one point? Who knows? We know there is a fifth old god. Is it Xal'atath? Me personally, I don't think so. But maybe Doran, the teller of truths, has something to say about that. Let's see what he's discovered.
The new short shows Xal'atath converting the Nerubians. Not really a big deal, just cool little artwork to hype up the expansion, but there is so much more in this video when you really examine it in detail. Xal'atath didn't come to Xal'atath to get an army. She's not trying to fight us. She is looking to complete the prophecy from Dragonflight that, by the way, turned out completely right, and only 2 lines are yet to happen.
By the way, the fact that she's not gathering an army, because that's what I originally thought she was going to be doing with the Nerubians, is kind of scary. She doesn't even think she needs an army to fight us, which is, it might be something that we should be worried about. She doesn't even consider us as an enemy, I feel like. She's just kind of playing around at this point. So we'll have to see.
You can see the fifth old god in the video.
That's really something we should worry about.
Teleports right through the void crystal in the mural itself. The Nerubians are either building a tentacle from the old god remains to create a new body for Xal'atath or the void awakened Azeroth, or they're extracting blood from the defeated fifth old god to awaken Azeroth as a void monster, which, by the way, is going to happen as we are going into midnight. This is going to be the biggest event in all of WoW history, so what is Xal'atath really doing? If you want to get Dragonflight or anything else warcraft related, Mule has some excellent deals that you can check.
Some interesting stuff about what Xal'atath is doing is she's the Harbinger, right? That's always that's her nickname, basically, her side name, her profession name. And one thing about what she has to do is bring about a Void Lord. In order to do so, it's always been known that Void Lords in general need a lot of power to enter into to manifest in our plane of existence. That's the problem with Void Lords. That's kind of like their falter, is that they are extremely powerful, some of the most powerful beings in the universe, but they have a hard time manifesting in our plane of existence. And in order to do that, I think it takes a lot of power. We've seen it happen with Demancius, right? When he destroyed Koresh, that it happened before, but now it's got to happen here, and I feel like that's why she's gathering Old God blood. It's like it's going to open some type of portal or enable the Void Lord, whoever he is, to manifest on our plane of existence.
You've seen the Threads of Destiny by now, the new 2D short that is introducing the War Within. It will be out in just a bit more than 2 weeks now, and you saw how the princess betrayed the queen and joined Xal'atath and her forces. Now, right. On first glance, you might not really think this is that big of a deal. It didn't really reveal anything, and this is yet another old god affiliated army. It's literally all we've been fighting, some empowered faction that ultimately gets destroyed by the players, but this now is actually different. Xal'atath didn't come here to gather an army to fight us. This is not some big threat. She came to the Nerubians for a completely different reason. You can actually notice this huge contrast where the old god faceless ones offer them an alliance, and not really offer them, more like demand alliance, and Xal'atath does something completely different. I've seen some people being confused with who this faceless one is and whether this is happening in the ancient Black Empire, but you need to keep it.
And to be honest, he's probably just a messenger. I mean, he comes and he basically tells the Nerubians, hey, you work with us, and we need you to come fight our battle now. So this, timeline-wise, has basically been confirmed. It happens during BFA. This is when we're, BFA, the armies of the Alliance and the Horde are uniting, and we're going to go kill N'Zoth. He comes to the Nerubians and tells them, hey, we need you now. You got to help fight on our side. And I don't remember if we fight any Nerubians in the raid. I don't think we do. So the Nerubians basically turned them down. And this is supposed to lead to the curse and everything else, and they're not going to, that's why they start starving and all that shit. But anyways, this guy in general, I think he's just a random emissary from the Void. I don't think he's anyone important.
This is happening.
Yeah, it happened in BFA, 100%. Yes, yeah, it perfectly lines up with BFA timeline. Even the ages of the guys in the video, the little girl, what's her name, Ansurek, she looks like her age perfectly lines up with that timeline as well.
Ancient Black Empire, but you need to keep in mind when the Black
How long ago was BFA at this point? Like 10 years ago? 10 years ago. It's pretty right.
I think they were all the Akir. This split only happened later. This faceless gigantic figure is happening sometime around BFA when N'Zoth was coming around, and he essentially outright demands to serve their masters. This shows that the old gods only really view Nerubians as minions. The Queen obviously kills him, which is an act of hostility, but N'Zoth couldn't exactly get revenge for this. However, what N'Zoth demanded was a Nerubian army that would fight us to re-establish the Black Empire during BFA.
Right.
Now, let's look at Xal'atath. She didn't come to demand their forces for some upcoming struggle. She came in, was like, I know you guys have been struggling for a while now, you're essentially falling into oblivion, so I can make you great again. What you can notice is that she doesn't call them to join their former masters, but instead, she speaks of the old god blood. Interesting enough, she doesn't even say what she wants for herself, but she says that she can make them powerful with the blood of the old gods, and the queen says that the price is too great. Now, the princess obviously doesn't take time.
It's a classic warcraft trope, you know, take this, drink this, infuse with this, and you're going to become more powerful kind of thing. But at the same time, every time that has ever happened in the history of WoW, whoever drinks it or whatever happens, they lose a bit of themselves. They lose a bit of free will, right? It's like with the orcs, you know, with the blood of Manaroth. You've seen it with these, what's it called? The dragons, right? With the Titan piss that they put in the water and all that shit. Drink it, you lose a bit of yourself. And then now you're seeing it with these Nerubians, right? They're going to take on this power, this old god blood. And I'm sure what's going to happen is they're going to lose a bit of themselves. Lose a bit of their free will. He's just swallowing things, yeah. So it's a typical WoW trope, and I feel like it's going to be the same way. And that's why she dropped that line where she was like, the cost is too great. She was worried that her people are going to basically just become mindless minions of the void.
Into this, she betrays her mother and accepts the pact. Now, this kind of leaves us with a mystery on what the pact is, and there is definitely still some mystery on what the destiny for the Nerubians is that they're talking about. However, we do of course have information from the War Within beta, we have artwork from the Collector's Edition book, we have some cinematic shots as well as some dialogues that can make sense of what is really going on here. Essentially, it all boils down to the prophecy that was established back in Dragonflight, the so-called Song of the Deaths. Now, I know, Blizzard is known to make these vague prophecies all the time with nothing particular in mind, but I think with this one, they knew what...
Shit. I left freaking blurps on. Shit. Who was that? Cadence? Damn it, Cadence. Holy fucking bitch.
They were fighting because this expansion has been in the works for years,
Scared
which is why
me too.
essentially
Damn
everything
it.
but the last two lines has
Fucking
already
got me.
happened, and seeing that we know Midnight is happening, the last two will likely
Forget every
happen
time.
soon as well. And I don't want to bore you with the whole read, this is already old news, so let's just look at the key parts. This is a
Great job.
Naga document saying that Queen Azshara is within the Void Realm. She says that the Harbinger is gathering the children of the First Flesh to reclaim what was lost. This is...
Yeah, back to I gotta recover now mentally. Azshara definitely gonna be relevant. Showing up at some point in Midnight, I guarantee it. She's an elf. It's an elf expansion. Totally makes sense. She was the original elf that delved with old god shit. So that's gonna happen. Another interesting person who took magic and then basically, right, they were corrupted and became the Naga that we know today. Also probably lost some of their free will. It's a typical WoW trope, and I guarantee you it's no different with these Nerubians.
Is what you can see in the newest short that Blizzard released. Harbinger speaks of a primal power. This is Heredicron, and they bent his rage for the Titans to their will. They talk about a hunger lost to the ages being reclaimed. This is the
Galakrond,
hunger of
same
Galakrond from 10.1.5. The Dark Heart left broken was taken. This is the artifact from Deathwing's laboratory on the Dragon Isles. So, really, we only got two lines that are yet to happen. The Harbinger is supposed to complete the Awakening of Azeroth, and the Queen, aka Azshara, is going to return to reign over the sea, sky, and earth. Now, this brings us to the Nerubians, and how did they come into this whole picture? Why did Xal'atath come to Khazlagar out of all the places on Azeroth? So, I want to refer to two things in particular here, and this is one obvious hint, which isn't really a hint at all. It is in fact just the thing they're stating outright everywhere, and that is the blood of the old gods, which is of course what really drew her to this place. However, there are also...
Although I wonder, like, obviously Northrend has a lot of old god blood. That's what Serenite is. The entirety of Icecrown Citadel is old god blood, right? That's what it's made of. But maybe when it's like in that hardened Serenite form, you can't use it anymore. It can't be mined. I mean, it is very hard at that point. It can't really be broken. It's Serenite. It's supposed to be some of the strongest, basically, metal in the game. So maybe that's why she can't use it, and she decided to go here. But I did think about that the other day. I was like, what about all that old god blood in Northrend? She don't going to use that?
Two hints for the cinematic of this gigantic tentacle in the Nerubian laboratory that you can also see in the Collector's Edition book in much more detail. I've got a previous video covering this in much more detail as well, but there are a few theories currently going around on what is actually happening. One is that the tentacle seems stitched together, and it's literally the shape of Xal'atath's dagger, that it could be a new body that they're building for Xal'atath to complete the awakening of Azeroth, aka her final boss form of this expansion. Remember, Xal'atath is something much more sinister than what she looks like. The reason she's a void elf is because this is just a random NPC body she took during that.
She's very good looking, that's what she is. Which is even worse, right? You know, that's always the worst kind of good looking, is when they're good looking and crazy.
Questline, but I feel like her true form is something akin to that tentacle, something kinda disgusting. Now, another theory is that the tentacle is a...
If you want to see a tentacled Xal'atath, go look anywhere on the internet. There's plenty of that. She's not exactly doing any harbinging in those images, though. But I'll just, you know, go find it. There's a void out there on the internet you can go find.
Azeroth once she awakens, stitching up all the old god palettes in their blood in order to have a vessel for this void monstrosity that Azeroth is supposed to become. However, another interesting possibility is that this tentacle is not actually being built at all, but instead, this is a remnant of the 5th old god that was in Khazakar, and this is the source of the old god blood they're harvesting it from. The blood itself is the real power, and this combined with the essence of Galakrond and the Dark Heart might be what is supposed to complete the awakening of Azeroth.
I didn't think about that, so he's on a different theory here. I thought he was saying Xal'atath is the 5th old god. No, he's saying the old god blood that they're gathering is not from any of the ones that we currently know, but it's the blood of this 5th old god. Okay. And then we're going to learn about him during the expansion. That'd actually be pretty cool.
Azeroth to wrap up that prophecy. I really don't want to
part of Yasharaj when it got flipped. Is that confirmed? Is it part like is it confirmed that the old god blood is Yasharaj's blood? Because that's what I thought when it got ripped out. Maybe a piece of him there, but this theory is saying no, it's from the 5th old god.
Alien time on this. I've got so many videos on that 5th old god, but it's really as good as confirmed that there is another unknown old god on Azeroth, as they had just stated this fact once again in the newly released Chronicle book. The speculation right now is that this 5th old god was present right where Khazakar is, and that his corpse is somewhere in the bottom layer, and this is where the Nerubians are getting all their pots and the blood from. This also brings us to the mural. I've discussed this a million times as well, but did you notice that Blizzard is purposefully hinting at that mural in the new video? I want to mention 2 key things here.
Yeah, I definitely think the fact that the mural's in the background and plays a big part, and even the part where Xal'atath comes through the diamond. I mean, I told you guys that the day we watched it. I'm like, that's got to mean something. The area that she, from the mural, comes out is the freaking Hallowfall crystal reference. So I think that's going to bring about something.
What the mural is and where Xal'atath is teleporting from. First of all, I previously talked about how we don't know what the mural is, whether this is a picture from the past or a vision of their new future with Xal'atath, so that figure is supposedly something that is going to come later, but this video essentially confirmed what it is. It's obviously from the time of the Black Empire, as it was present before the Nerubians joined Xal'atath. This figure is very likely the 5th old god. The mural shows Nerubians entering the mount, which might mean they were sacrificed, and there is the crystal, which is almost certainly Beledar, but the void version. Did you notice that Xal'atath teleported through the crystal in the mural? I'm almost certain this is a huge hint for...
I said it right when I saw it. I was like, guys, she's coming through the crystal. The crystal going into void form has to be related to this in some way, like the bringing about of the old god or a void lord or whatever it is. It has something to do with this crystal going void form.
For what is going to happen later on.
And by the way, as far as the lore goes, that crystal did not start flipping between void and light until the Sword of Sargeras entered our planet. When he did that, that was what triggered the first transitionings between light and void of the crystal. So interesting. Maybe did Sargeras know that he was going to bring all this about by stabbing the planet? I don't know. Well, but it certainly is the triggering event that started it.
Additionally, based on the old god lore that we know and the maps we had previously seen, the old gods usually had their own little kingdoms within the Black Empire, so they would be in the middle of some place and their servants would be based around them. If this 5th old god was in Khazakar, it would mean that originally the Nerubians were very close servants of this guy, and if we can take anything from the mural and the fact that they didn't want anything to do with the void for the longest time, you can kind of extrapolate that they didn't exactly treat the Nerubians well. Now, let's go back to the prophecy, the Harbinger completing the awakening. I'm almost certain this will actually happen, as we know Midnight is the next expansion where the Void actually invades us. Lisa Chronicle book kinda retcons some of the old lore that previously stated Azeroth is a Titan and the Void wants to convert it into a Void Titan. The new lore said that the Void wants to convert it into a Void monster, essentially. So is it really a mystery on what Xal'atath's plan is? I mean, we know she serves the
basically now Azeroth's world soul can be turned into a Titan being or into a Void being. It's not, but it's neither right now. That's like the new lore, whereas before it was a nascent Titan that can become something for the Void. It's not that anymore.
She is the All Devouring, and she wants to convert Azeroth, aka awaken Azeroth, as a Void being. So based on all this, let's kind of explain what is actually going on. The original destiny of the Nerubians is probably the destiny of the Void, and that is to complete the Awakening, which equals conquering the planet. Once the planet is fully in the Void realm, I mean, can anyone really stop the Nerubians? Like, who would even want to stop the Nerubians? Xal'atath has been gathering a few paths here and there for this Awakening, but it looks like the biggest source of power she needs to complete this ritual is right in Kazagar, which is why she came to the Nerubians. As I said, she doesn't really care for the army. She's not trying to fight or invade us.
That's somewhat what confused me about her creating an army, because we basically established she don't give a shit about us or fighting us directly. So creating an army is an interesting thing. I just think she's probably creating, you know, harvesting slaves. That's basically what she's doing. She cares more about their ability to harvest old god blood and parts than it is to fight anything.
Wants to complete the ritual. The army might distract us here and there, but that was just a way to satisfy the Nerubians so that they can help her in the true plan. Now we will see what this tentacle really is, whether they're building it or extracting things from it, but it really looks like something crazy is actually going to happen in this expansion. If she really completes the Awakening, this event at the end of War Within is literally going to be the biggest thing that ever hit Azeroth in all its history. I mean, the Sundering is not going to be anything similar in comparison. Thank you for watching. Check out Troll returning as the War Chief in the upcoming faction conflict by clicking on the screen, and check out my video on Ancient Training on the second channel by clicking on the screen as well. See you next time.
Yeah, interesting video that took a turn that I wasn't expecting. I thought he was going to say Xal'atath is the 5th old god, but that's not what he said at all. He was just talking about the blood that they are gathering currently, that the Nerubians are gathering, is the blood of this 5th old god that we'll learn more about later on, which is actually a theory that I think could be true. And it makes more sense than the Xal'atath being an old god, because I just don't think that's the case. You'd know how Cadence, yeah, we'll see. Certainly an interesting theory, and we're gonna find out much more of it here. As God, expansion's coming quick, man. Can't wait.